A very good day to Dr. Faisal. Today, Group 2 would like to have a virtual video presentation for the group project. And this will be our table of content. First of all, we have an introduction, and following by the company's background and the respective subsequent event and key audit matters. And then we have a working capital ratio analysis, and lastly, we have a conclusion. So this will be the introduction. So this project is done purposely to enhance our knowledge of the implementation and disclosure of subsequent event for the listed company. So we have chosen 5 non-financial company, and we start by studying the background of each company. Then we recognize the subsequent event and following by their respective key audit matters. And we also measure the company's performance by using the computation of the working capital ratios. And lastly, we try to identify the relationship between the subsequent event, key audit matters, and also the respective working capital ratios for each company.
Greeting everyone, I'm CHANG, the first company in our group project is Saswadi Holding Berhad. Established in 1985, Saswadi Holding Berhad engaged in the operation of investment holding. Saswadi is a quality publisher of educational material for primary and secondary school education. Let's move on to the subsequent event. In financial year 2018, there is no subsequent event occurred. In financial year 2019, there are 2 subsequent events. The first event is the acquisition of 2 office units by its subsidiary from a third party. This event occurred on 6 September 2019, which is after the reporting period. The ownership of the asset has yet to be transferred at the date of the report. Therefore, this event is a non-adjusting event and only disclosure needed on the information and the amount of 2,100,000 incurred. The second event, implementation of the company employee share option scheme, also is a non-adjusting event because the 10 million options were offered by the company on 6 December 2019, which is after the reporting period. Therefore, only disclosure in the notes to the financial statement is needed. Next, we move to the key audit matter. In financial year 2018 and 2019, there are 3 identical key audit matters. Let us look at the first one. Impairment of intangible asset, which is goodwill from the acquisition of 3 business units. It is reported as a key audit matter due to the risk associated in the carrying amount of the goodwill, which depends on its value in use. The value in use was estimated by discounting the future cash flow and the key assumption designed by the management based on the internal, external sources, and future trend in industry. The sensitivity analysis performed by the auditor shows the result that the change in the key assumption would not lead to the excessive of carrying amount. Therefore, there is no evidence of impairment and the carrying amount of the impairment maintained at this value. The second key audit matter is the valuation of trade receivable. This matter has come to the attention of the auditor because of the recoverability and impairment loss level involved the judgment from the group that based on several factors, which are credit risk evaluation, historical payment trend, and subsequent to year-end collections. The third identical key audit matter for both financial years is the valuation of inventory. It has come to the attention of the auditor due to the judgment involved in determining the amount of allowance for inventory write-down and the balance of inventory that is high and material to the groups. Adoption of MFRS 15, revenue from contract with customer, was reported as a fourth key audit matter in the financial year 2019. This matter needs more engagement of senior personnel in assessing the group contract with customer. Furthermore, the timing of the revenue recognition also needs substantial judgment from the auditors. And that's the reasons why this matter has become the key audit matter in this financial year.
Hello, I'm NADHIRAH. We continue presentation with SMRT Holding Berhad. SMRT is a short form of Specialist Management Resources and Technology. Their founder is Tan Sri Datuk Dr. Melania Pan. SMRT is an investment holding company that involved in 3 business segments, which are education, technology, and training. There are two subsequent events for 2018. First is Cendana become a wholly owned subsidiary of SMRT after they acquire one ordinary share of Cendana that occurs on 3rd January 2019. Second is Fozia become a wholly owned subsidiary of SMRT on 30 March 2019. The above event is classified as non-adjusting entry because it occurs after the reporting period and only require disclosure. For 2019, there are also two subsequent events. First, proposed sales of ordinary share SMR Group with Minda Global Berhad on 11 November 2019 was completed on 18 January 2020 and caused SMR to no longer be a wholly owned subsidiary of the company. This event is classified as adjusting events because it provides evidence that existed at the end of the reporting period. Therefore, adjustment is required for this event. Second, coronavirus outbreak and the related impact that have occurred since early of 2020 is considered as non-adjusting event and only require disclosure. For 2018 and 2019, the key audits matter being reported in these two financial years are the same, which is the impairment of goodwill and trade receivables. Impairment of goodwill and education license is reported as a key audit matter due to the risk associated in the carrying amount of goodwill and education license. The recognition of goodwill and education license emerged from the acquisition of Minda Global Berhad. Second is the recoverability of the trade receivables has become to auditors' attention because the recoverability and the impairment loss level involve judgment from the group. The group used provision method to measure the expected credit loss of trade receivables, which is based on the group's historical observed default rate. For 2019, there are another key audits matter. Right of use asset and lease liability are recorded under key audits matter for determining the lease term, lease payment, and incremental rate. The group leased several assets, including land and motor vehicles, by adopting MFRS lease. The adoption of MFRS lease affects the carrying amount of the land and motor vehicle, respectively. For lease liability, the group do not have term for renewal, which will give the group an option to purchase at nominal values at the end of the lease term. Last but not least, the key audit matters of funding requirement and the ability to meet short-term obligation is due to the significant amount of short-term liabilities. The group has taken these banking facilities to finance its capital expenditure. Subsequent to the end of the financial year, the group drawn down the term loan to redeem its sukuk wakalah.
Next, we move on to Rapid Synergy Berhad. Rapid Synergy Berhad is an investment holding company that was led by Chu Hyang Lee and was founded in 1994 and based in Ipoh, Malaysia. This company also operates in three divisions, which are investment holding, precision tools, and the food and beverage market. Next, we move on to disclosure of MFRS 110. In 2018, the financial year ended was 31st December 2018. And the issuance date of financial statements by the Board of Directors was on 12th of April 2019. There are a total of 3 subsequent events that was happened in this year. The first is the disposal of a unit of residential property in 26th of November 2018. This event is an adjusting event because this event happens in financial year. Thus, this event requires adjustment. The second subsequent event is the acquisition of a piece of freehold land in 7th of December 2018. This event is also an adjusting event because this event happens in the financial year, and thus this event also requires adjustment. The third subsequent event is the secure additional banking facilities. This event is a non-adjusting event, thus this event does not require adjustment but requires disclosure. Next, in the year 2019, the financial year ended was 31st December 2019, and the issuance date of financial statement by the Board of Directors was on 15th of June 2020. There are also 3 subsequent events that was happened in this year. The first is the disposal of a unit of residential property on 4th of October 2019. This is an adjusting event because this event happens in the financial year. Thus, this event requires an adjustment. The second subsequent event is the disposal of 2 units of residential properties on 6th of March 2020. This event is a non-adjusting event because it happens after the financial year and before the issuance date. Thus, this event requires disclosure. The third subsequent event is the declaration of the coronavirus outbreak to be a pandemic by the World Health Organization. on 11th of March 2020. This event is also a non-adjusting event, hence this event requires disclosure. Next, we move on to the key audit matters. The first matter is the disclosure of fair value of investment properties that was happened in both year 2018 and 2019. In this matter, the amount of fair value investment properties were valued by 4 approaches. The second matter is the impairment of other investment that was also happened in 2018 and 2019. The estimated amount of fair value of this investment was based on valuation carried out by independent valuer annually. However, the quoted shares that was included in other investment of the group for both years was suspended due to a breach that were recognized by the investing entity. The third matter is the assessment of funding requirements and ability to meet short-term obligations. This matter is only happened in 2019. As of 31st December 2019, the current liabilities of the group has exceeded their current assets. Thus, the company relies on the cash flows from its operation, existing unutilized banking facilities, and the continuing financial support in order to fulfill their obligations as and when they fall due.
And so this will be the company breakdown of Sabah Dynamic Berhad. So it is founded on 1993 and listed on 2017. So it is an international energy service company and it has 3 main services. The first is called operation and maintenance, and second one is called engineering, procurement, and construction and commissioning. And last, they have other supporting products and services. Next, we have a subsequent event for this company. So in 2018, there are 2 non-adjusting events, which are about the acquisition in other companies by the subsidiary. So first, we have the STSP, and the share sales agreement to acquire the entire equity interest in SG Rex Berhad happened on 15 March of 2019. And second, we have the STIT, subscribed to 100% shareholding in STIT International on 5th of April 2019. So for 2019, so there are 3 non-adjusting events. The first is about the impact of pandemic COVID-19. So it might affect the profit of company negatively in next financial year. Second, we have the repurchase of shares. And last, we have the private placements of share exercised up to 10% of the issued share. So these are all called non-adjusting events because these events are happen after the financial year, which are 31st of December. So for this company, so there are 3 key audit matters, and key audit matters are the issues that are significant based on the auditor judgment. So the first matter is about the revenue recognition. So in 2019 and 2018, the O&M contribute about 86% and 89% of the total revenue, and EPCC have generated 11% and 10% respectively for 2 years. The recognition of both things require very high professional judgment. The second matter is related to the material on site. This is because it makes up a significant portion of the current asset, and these assets might be overstated, as it is susceptible to error in determining the existence and completeness. And the last we have about the valuation of trade receivable and also contract asset. It is because the allowance of impairment losses and provision for doubtful debts require management judgment, and due to the great nature, it can be overstated and it might also affect the income statement at the end.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is Nur Anis NADHIRAH binti RIFA'I. My metric number is 273972. I will present about Formosa Prosani Industri Berhad, which is a Malaysian leading manufacturer of high-quality sound system. This company established in 1988 and listed on Bursa Securities since 17 June 1994. The headquarters are located in Port Klang and Sungai Petani. As a high-quality manufacturer in sound system, this company has over 30 years of expert in the field of audio. This company manufacturing and marketing sound system product to multinational corporations worldwide. They specialize in the manufacture of original equipment facility, including diver units, woodworking, and plastic injection. Investment from stakeholders have helped this company to provide the sound system industry with recent development in architecture, engineering, and technology. Next, disclosure of MFRS 110 for this company. For financial year 2018, no implementation of MFRS 110 because no subsequent event occur after the reporting period, and the Board of Directors have authorized the financial statement to be issued on 28 May 2019. Next, for the financial year 2019, the outbreak of coronavirus pandemic and implementation of movement control from 11 March 2020 to 12 May 2020 occur after the end of the reporting period. It shall be reported as a non-adjusting event as a no adjustment is needed in the financial statement for the final year ended 31st December 2019, but it shall be disclosed in the notes to the financial statement. If the group anticipates that the impact of COVID-19 may give impact to the judgment and assumption in preparing financial statement, due to the lack of visibility for the end date of COVID-19 pandemic and the movement control, the group must recognize impact for the final year ending at 31st December 2020. Next, we move to key audit matters for this company. For 2018 and 2019, they have one key audit matters, which is valuation of inventory. In 2018, which is 1,272,280 ringgit, and 2019, 5,297,844 ringgit, are both stayed at the net realizable value. This is be reported as key audit matters as the valuation is determined by the management by their own judgment to evaluate the written down of the inventory and the net realizable value by assessing the market price and the future demands.
Next, we move on to the financial ratio. As we can see, among these 5 companies, for every 1 ringgit of current liabilities, Serba Dynamic Berhad is able to cover 3 ringgit 29 cents for every 1 ringgit of its current liabilities. This company has shown a good performance to fulfill their obligations when they fall due. However, for Rapid Synergy Berhad, this company is unable to cover 1 ringgit of its current liabilities because the company only have 56 cents of its assets. This shows that the company is unable to pay their obligations when they fall due. Next is the inventory efficiency ratio. As we can see, SMRT Holding Berhad has shows a best performance in managing its inventories. It shows that the company managed to restock their inventories for 14.89 times. However, for Sasbadi Holdings Berhad, this company shows a poor performance in managing its inventories because this company only able to restock their inventories 0.7 times due to lack of proper management.
Trade receivables days is used to measure the ability of the company in collecting the cash from the trade receivables. Among the 5 companies, in order to collect the cash from the trade receivables, Sasbadi Holding Berhad taking the longest time and Formosa Prosonit taking the shortest time. This is because Sasbadi takes about 6 months to collect cash from account receivable. However, Formosa only takes about 2 months to collect cash from account receivables. Therefore, Formosa is the better in trade receivables days among the others. Trade payables days refer to the average number of days it takes a company to pay back its creditors. Among the 5 companies, in order to pay back the creditors, Rapid Synergy Berhad taking the longest time and Serba Dynamic taking the shortest times. This is because Rapid Synergy takes about 4 months to pay back the trade payables. However, Serba Dynamic only takes 1 month and less to pay back the trade payable. Therefore, Serba Dynamic is the better in trade payables days among the others company.
Now, we will focus on the sales to working capital ratio. Based on the computation result as shown in the table, we can know that Sasbadi only able to generate 77 cents and 74 cents for every 1 ringgit of working capital invested. I would like to draw your attention that the sales to working capital ratio for publishing industry are up to 1 for both years. Therefore, Sasbadi can consider to have the poor performance in using its working capital to generate sales. Formosa Prosonic Industry Berhad generate the highest sales, especially in 2019, by using its working capital. However, this figure might be misleading because there are a huge drop in annual sales and working capital simultaneously. The declining in working capital can cause the Formosa Prosonic to have difficulty in running their business due to the relatively low working capital available due compared to the other company.
Now, working capital. Working capital to measure the liquidity of a company by measuring the short-term asset that remain after the short-term liability are paid. After we analysis the 5 company, the best performance in working capital, which is Serba Dynamic Berhad, because the company have a highest amount for both years, which is 2018 and 2019. For poor performance in working capital, which is Rapid Synergy Berhad because have a lowest amount for both years 2018 and 2019 compared to others company. It is suggests for a company to have high working capital to prevent the company from having financial challenge, as a low working capital might lead to a more borrowing and a low corporate credit rating. Thank you.
And after completing the project, there are 5 conclusions that we can make for a group project. First, we can know that the key audit matters can be used to provide better information by listing out the significant issue or matters, and subsequent event can give the investor a better financial picture of the company. So we can conclude that the subsequent event and key audit matters can be used as the provider of qualitative information, while the working capital ratio is provider of quantitative information to the investor. So next we can know that the pattern of working capital ratio is actually very depending on the sector that the business involves. So for example, Rapid Synergy has the lowest liquidity ratio because it is involved in the property sector, and also working capital ratio is actually very depending on the business sizes. And the next summary is about the working capital ratio can only be used to measure the past performance of the company. So if investor want to measure, predict about the future, so it have to be used together with the subsequent events. So after we done identifying the key audit matters of our 5 companies, so we can say that our project is tally with the finding done by the ACCA regarding the most common method being presented for the key audit matters, which are first, asset impairment, and second is about the recognition of revenue and allowance. So that's all for our presentation. Thank you so much for your attention.